The year is 2025. Bangladesh burns. For weeks, the streets of Dhaka, Chittagong, and Sylhet have been a battleground. The air, thick with tear gas and the stench of burning tires, crackles with tension. At the eye of the storm is Sheikh Hasina, once the Iron Lady of Bangladesh, now facing the fury of a nation pushed to the brink. Her grip on power, unyielding for 2 decades, is finally slipping. Hasina's rule, built on the legacy of her father, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, the father of the nation, has been marred by allegations of corruption, authoritarianism, and human rights abuses. Dissent has been met with brutal force, disappearances, and silencing, but the people of Bangladesh, known for their resilience and spirit, have had enough. The streets are echoing with chants of "Joy Bangla, Victory to Bangladesh," a slogan that once signified liberation, now a rallying cry for a new dawn. On August 5, 2024, the news breaks. Hasina has resigned. The Iron Lady has fled, seeking refuge in India, leaving behind a nation teetering on the edge. Her departure marks the end of an era, a dynasty built on the blood of martyrs and the dreams of a nation. But her resignation is not the end. It is merely the beginning of a new chapter fraught with uncertainty and hope in Bangladesh's tumultuous journey. The protests, initially sparked by a controversial quota system for government jobs, quickly escalated into a full-blown uprising. The quota system, reserving a third of government jobs for the descendants of 1971 war veterans, was seen by many as a cynical ploy to consolidate power and reward loyalists. But it was the last straw for a population already reeling under the weight of economic hardship, rampant corruption, and political repression. The streets of Bangladesh transformed into scenes of chaos and carnage. Protesters, many of them students and young people, clashed with security forces armed with tear gas, rubber bullets, and live ammunition. The death toll mounted with each passing day, painting the streets red with the blood of innocent civilians. The smell of tear gas hung heavy in the air, a constant reminder of the violence that had engulfed the nation. The government's response was swift and brutal. A media blackout was imposed, the internet was shut down, and a dusk-to-dawn curfew was enforced. But the crackdown only fueled the flames of dissent. The people of Bangladesh, having tasted freedom, were not going to be cowed into submission. They continued to pour onto the streets, their voices growing louder, their resolve hardening with every fallen comrade. In the aftermath of Hasina's flight, a tense calm settles over Bangladesh. The streets, still smoldering from the protests, are eerily quiet. The army, deployed to restore order, patrols the streets, their presence a stark reminder of the fragility of the situation. An interim government headed by President Mohammad Shahabuddin has been sworn in, tasked with the daunting challenge of guiding the nation through this turbulent transition. One of the interim government's first acts is to release political prisoners, including Khaleda Zia, Hasina's longtime rival and former prime minister, who had been jailed on corruption charges widely seen as politically motivated. Zia's release is met with cautious optimism by some, while others view it as a desperate attempt to appease the opposition and restore stability. The international community, watching with bated breath, urges restraint and calls for a peaceful transition to democracy. The United States, long a staunch ally of Bangladesh, commends the army's restraint and pledges support for a free and fair election. The European Union, echoing similar sentiments, calls for an end to the violence and a return to constitutional rule. The future of Bangladesh hangs in the balance. The country, still reeling from the violence and political upheaval, faces an uncertain future. The interim government, tasked with restoring order and holding fresh elections, faces a Herculean task. The economy, already struggling, has been brought to its knees by the protests and the political uncertainty. The international community, while offering words of support and promises of aid, watches from a distance. The world holds its breath, hoping that Bangladesh, a nation that has overcome so much in its short history, can once again find its footing and emerge from this crisis stronger and more united. The protesters, their voices hoarse from chanting slogans, their spirits unbroken despite the losses they have suffered, remain vigilant. They have tasted freedom, and they are determined to see it through. They demand accountability for the violence, an end to corruption, and a genuine democracy that represents the will of the people. The road ahead is long and arduous. The wounds of the past run deep, and the challenges are immense. But amidst the uncertainty, there is also a glimmer of hope. The people of Bangladesh, having shown their courage and resilience, are determined to build a better future for themselves and for generations to come.